The chosen do not seek crowds. Their souls whisper louder than the world's noise. In quiet they are carved by purpose. In stillness they become. Not all can walk with them. Some would dim their shine. So they walk alone, not for pride, but for promise. Solitude is their sanctuary. There are some among us who walk this world with a weight that cannot be measured in pounds or stone. It is not seen by the naked eye, nor understood by those whose steps are light with forgetfulness. These people, these chosen ones, carry something deep, a spiritual burden that humbles the back and sharpens the mind. It is not punishment. It is not a curse. It is a divine calling, worn not on the sleeve, but stitched beneath the skin. You may see them, but you might not recognize them. Their eyes are older than their years, and their smiles hold the mystery of survival. They sit in rooms full of noise, but do not speak. They walk through crowds, untouched and untouched by them. Their silence is not shyness, it is sacred. They are not distant because they think themselves better. They are distant because they have heard things others have not, seen things others have ignored, felt things others were too numb to notice. You see, when one is chosen, they are not merely gifted, they are entrusted with vision, insight, and truth. And truth is heavy. It is not the kind of thing you toss around at dinner tables. It is not always welcome in spaces that cling to illusion. The truth makes people uncomfortable. The truth asks questions. The truth doesn't dance to the rhythm of the crowd, and so the chosen must often walk alone, for the weight they carry cannot be shared with many. This spiritual weight comes in dreams and wakefulness alike. It shows up in the middle of the night when the world is asleep, whispering revelations into their ears. It presses on their hearts in the daylight, urging them to speak when silence is easier. It tugs on their spirit when their flesh longs for rest. The chosen know that rest is a rare thing, not because it is denied to them, but because purpose won't let them settle. They are not allowed to simply exist. They must evolve. They must awaken again and again. For them, joy is not always found in parties or applause. It is found in growth, in stillness, in truth spoken with trembling lips. Their joy is sacred, quiet, unseen by most, but radiant in its purity. And because of this, they cannot be around just anyone. The weight they carry demands environments that will not contaminate their calling. There are people whose words carry daggers, whose presence drains energy like a slow leak in the soul. The chosen feel these things before they are spoken. They read the room before it's entered. They hear the dishonesty behind the laughter. They recognize when a smile is really a disguise. And so, to protect the fire within, they keep their circle small and their solitude sacred. Do not mistake this for arrogance. No, it is reverence. It is knowing the value of what lies within. You cannot plant royal seeds in common soil and expect them to thrive. The chosen know they are here to build something eternal, and that takes space, silence, and sanctity. Their path is not paved with approval, it is paved with purpose. And purpose, my dear, is a lonely teacher. It does not entertain, it educates, it disciplines. It watches to see if you'll keep showing up even when nobody claps. It waits to see if you'll tell the truth, even when the truth costs you company. That is spiritual weight. That is the calling of the chosen. Their presence may not be welcomed everywhere, but it is felt. Their words may not always be embraced, but they echo. Their life may look quiet, but it is thunder beneath the surface. And so they go on carrying what they must, not for attention, but for alignment, not to impress, but to inspire. They are not here to be seen. They are here to be sent by something far greater than man, far deeper than fame. And while many may never understand them, that is not their concern. For chosen ones are not driven by being understood. They are driven by being obedient to the weight within. And that obedience is its own kind of freedom, a quiet, costly, unshakable freedom. There is a stillness that sings louder than applause, a silence that speaks deeper than words, and a solitude so sacred it becomes a sanctuary. The chosen ones know this place well. It is where they are shaped, not seen, where they are taught, not touched. The world may view solitude as loneliness, a space of emptiness or lack. But the chosen do not. For them, solitude is sacred soil. It is where their roots stretch deep into the soul, anchoring them for the storms ahead. In a world chasing noise and numbers, the chosen are pulled back by something older than time. They are summoned not by the crowd, but by the whisper. And the whisper never yells. It calls in the still, in the soft, in the silent spaces between chaos. While others seek validation from many, the chosen are instructed to sit with themselves, to wrestle with their thoughts, to confront their fears, to hear the voice within that has waited so long to be heard. Solitude is not isolation, it is invitation, an invitation to step out of the world's performance and into divine presence. It is there in the hush of the hour that clarity comes. It is there, far from the lights and laughter, that direction is found. The chosen cannot afford to drown in distraction. Their purpose demands focus. Their mission requires margin. And so they step away, not because they are bitter, but because they are building. Not because they are proud, but because they are preparing. Preparation rarely happens in public. The caterpillar does not become a butterfly in a crowd. The seed does not bloom while being watched. Transformation is always hidden, and the chosen understand that what is sacred must be shielded. Solitude becomes a covering, a cloak for metamorphosis. It guards the process that only heaven and soul are meant to witness. In sacred solitude, they learn to listen, not to the world, but to the wisdom within. They are taught to sit with the ache, to breathe through the unanswered questions, to touch the edge of the eternal. They are trained to stand on truth, even when silence is the only affirmation they receive. In those quiet rooms, character is carved, conviction is born, integrity is built. Because when no one is watching, who are you? When no one applauds, do you still perform with excellence? The chosen must answer these questions in silence before they are trusted with the sound. Many cannot understand why they pull away, why they leave the party early, why their phone goes unanswered, why they sit quietly when the world is screaming. But the chosen do not need to explain their absence. Their presence is too precious to be everywhere. They know the cost of energy. They know the danger of contamination. They understand that too many voices dilute divine instruction, so they choose solitude, not as punishment, but as preservation. The sacred cannot dwell in noise. Divinity dances in the quiet. And so the chosen make room. They clear space. They say no, not to people, but to distractions disguised as necessity. They understand that everyone cannot go where they're going, and not everyone should. Some company corrupts the calling. Some connections drain the anointing. The chosen are not rude. They are responsible. Responsible for what's been placed inside of them. Responsible for stewarding their soul. Solitude becomes their teacher, their friend, their compass. It corrects them without shaming them. It nurtures them without pampering them. It stretches them without snapping them. In solitude, the chosen find their pace. The world may run, but they walk. The world may clamor, but they listen. The world may rush, but they wait, because they know that divine timing is not moved by public pressure. In sacred solitude, the chosen grow not in stature, but in spirit. Their roots dig deep where eyes cannot see. They anchor themselves in truth, in presence, in stillness. They are not running from the world. They are running toward something greater, toward purpose, toward alignment, toward peace. And while others may fear the quiet, the chosen have learned to love it. For in the quiet, they hear heaven. In the silence, they meet themselves. And in solitude, they are not alone. They are accompanied by destiny, by truth, by the echo of every step they were born to take. There are those who do not merely hear voices or see faces, they feel frequencies. They walk into a room and sense the residue of a conversation long finished. They pass a stranger and feel the sorrow tucked behind the smile. These are the ones gifted and burdened with energetic sensitivity, the chosen ones. Their hearts are not only instruments of love, but finely tuned radars of emotion, spirit, and intention. They do not need words to know what a person carries. They read vibrations like scripture. They notice the tightening in the chest, the change in the air, the invisible fog that gathers when something isn't right. While others are busy looking with their eyes, the chosen feel with their souls. And because of this, they cannot stay long in every space. They cannot walk freely into crowds without carrying something home that does not belong to them. Their energy is a sacred field and it must be protected. They are not sensitive because they are weak. They are sensitive because they are awake. Their spirit listens even when their mouth stays closed. Their intuition whispers truths before their mind can catch up. They are not reacting. They are responding to what most people pretend not to notice. The world can be loud, layered, and careless, but the chosen must be deliberate, discerning, and still. They have learned that not every embrace is a blessing. Not every smile is safety. Not every hand extended comes with pure intention. And so they retreat, not out of fear, but out of reverence. They guard their peace like treasure because for them it is not luxury, it is survival. They can feel the tension in laughter, the grief behind a strong voice. They are moved by music others ignore. They weep for what never happened, but was felt. And because of this deep inner life, they must often walk alone or with a sacred few who understand the language of energy. Too many people, too much noise, and too much false light can burn the chosen out. When they speak from the core. When they love with everything. Their presence is medicine, but it comes at a cost, because to be so open to light also means they are open to pain. They do not get to numb like others do. They do not get to float on the surface. Everything goes straight to the soul, and the soul, my dear, has no filter. So they take their time, they move slower, they pause where others rush. They step back where others step in. They are not cold, they are careful. They are not distant, they are deliberate. Their boundaries are not walls, they are windows with locks. Because they know the wrong energy, even when well-dressed, can poison their path. And though they often feel misunderstood, they continue. Though their kindness is mistaken for weakness, they remain kind. Because their sensitivity is not a flaw, it is a compass. It is how they know what to speak, what to shift, and when to stay silent. It is how they've survived places that would have crushed less sensitive souls. It is how they stay close to the divine. This gift, this energetic sensitivity, is both their ache and their armor. It aches when the world is unkind. It aches when betrayal brushes near. It aches when others move through life unaware of the pain they cause. But it is also armor, because it protects them from lies, from illusions, from distractions dressed as destiny. Their spirit flinches before harm ever arrives. So they have learned to trust it. They have learned to say no without explanation, to leave rooms that feel heavy, to step away from people who drain rather than pour. They do not apologize for feeling too much, for crying when no one else does, for leaving early when the energy shifts. They are not made for the shallow end. Their soul was built to dive deep. And even though they often carry more than they show, they continue. Because the world needs their sensitivity. It needs their depth. It needs those who can feel what others ignore. The chosen are sensitive not just to survive, but to shift, to heal, to light the way. And so they honor the gift, even when it hurts, even when it isolates, even when no one understands. For in the vibration of all things, they hear the voice of the divine, and they know this sensitivity is not a burden. It is their bond with the sacred. There are those who will always choose the narrow path, the silent work, the unseen seed. They will not chase lights or beg for claps. They will not mold their truth to fit the crowd. These are the chosen ones, the ones who were not sent here to be liked, but to be light. They understand that purpose is not popular, and popularity, it's a sugar-coated chain, sweet in the mouth, but heavy on the soul. The chosen know that popularity can lift you today and leave you tomorrow. That applause is borrowed and praise is rented. They've seen how quickly the same tongues that praise you can poison you. So they do not feed off approval. They are nourished by alignment. They are anchored in obedience to something greater, something eternal. While others are building platforms, they are building legacies, quietly, faithfully, without spectacle, without spotlight. You see, purpose doesn't shout, it whispers. It tells you to rise when no one's watching, to speak when silence is comfortable, to walk alone when the crowd turns left and you know you must go right. Purpose is inconvenient. It asks for sacrifice. It demands separation. It calls you to become, not just be seen. The chosen feel this early on. They try to fit in, try to follow, try to bend and blend. But something in them breaks every time they betray their truth. The laughter of the crowd sounds hollow. The attention starts to feel like a mask. So they pull away, not out of arrogance, but out of awakening. They are not meant to please people. They are meant to serve purpose, and purpose does not wear a costume. They walk into rooms and feel the pull to shrink, but they rise anyway. Not because they want to be noticed, but because they are done being invisible to themselves. They speak, not for approval, but because silence would be dishonesty. They work in hidden corners, plant in dry seasons, and bloom in quiet revolutions. The chosen are not empty vessels waiting to be filled by applause. They are wells of wisdom, of fire, of truth. And truth, real truth, rarely pleases everyone. But the chosen speak it anyway, carry it anyway, wear it anyway, because they understand that living a life that pleases the world can leave you a stranger to yourself. They turn down the easy path, the big stage, the glittered distraction, not because they fear success, but because they define success differently. To them, success is peace, it's integrity. It's going to bed knowing you didn't betray your soul to buy someone's love. It's speaking your truth and standing in it, even if your voice shakes, even if you stand alone. The world will try to seduce them, offer quick fame, loud praise, wide platforms. But the chosen have seen what lies under that shine. They have seen the empty eyes behind the perfect smile, the silence behind all the noise. They are not fooled. They know their worth isn't measured in followers, but in fruit, in impact, in healing, in how deeply they live, not how widely they are seen. There is a fire in them that no stage could contain. There is a knowing in them that no audience could validate. They were not made for the moment. They were made for the mission, and the mission takes time. It takes humility. It takes dying to ego and rising in purpose again and again. So they bow their heads in rooms full of noise and listen for that still small voice. And when it calls them to step away, to say no, to stand firm, they obey. Even when it costs them comfort, even when it costs them company, because their loyalty is not to the crowd, it is to the calling. And while they may never trend, may never be everyone's favorite, they will be faithful. And faithfulness, my dear, will carry you further than fame ever could. They will not be a flash, they will be a flame, burning slowly but burning true. They walk with quiet confidence, knowing they were not placed here to entertain the world, but to awaken it, to remind it, to rebuild it. One word, one act, one breath at a time. They don't need everyone to clap. They just need to stay true. There comes a season in every chosen soul's life where the doors close, the phone falls silent, and the room grows still. It is not punishment. It is not abandonment. It is divine instruction. Isolation is not the absence of people. It is the presence of purpose, uncluttered and unfiltered. It is where the spirit goes to school, where the soul sits in the quiet classroom of becoming. Most people fear isolation. They run from it, drown it out with noise, fill it with company that never fills them. But the chosen know better. They have been called to the lonely places again and again. They have felt the ache of separation, the sting of silence, the weight of being misunderstood. Yet through it all, they remain, because they know that what is being built in isolation will one day sustain what they are called to carry in the light. The chosen do not confuse solitude with loneliness. There is a difference. Loneliness is the craving for what is gone. Solitude is the recognition of what is growing. In isolation, you meet yourself, not the version that pleases others, not the image you've curated for acceptance, but the raw, unedited truth of who you are. You meet the wounds that never healed, the dreams you buried, the voices you silenced for the sake of peace. In that sacred stillness, everything hidden comes forward. In the hush of isolation, the soul becomes honest. The masks fall, the distractions fade. What's left is the core, shivering, beautiful, and waiting to be seen. In that core, the instructions begin. You start to hear what you couldn't hear in the crowd. You start to see what you couldn't see through noise. You realize that much of what you lost was never meant to stay, and much of what you feared was simply unfamiliar freedom. The chosen do not just survive isolation, they are shaped by it. In the absence of outside affirmation, they learn to validate themselves. In the void of constant conversation, they begin to hear the quiet voice of purpose, not the booming call of ambition, but the whisper of divine direction. Isolation does not scream. It teaches gently through long nights, through quiet mornings, through tears no one else sees. They learn patience not just with time, but with themselves. They learn to walk without applause, to show up without being seen, to keep building when no one is watching. They learn the sacred art of obedience, not to others, but to the truth placed inside of them. The lessons are not always gentle. Some days they'll want to run, to reconnect, to be heard. But isolation says, stay. There is more to learn. In the cocoon of isolation, there is shedding of false identities, expired attachments, and borrowed beliefs. The chosen must leave behind the comfort of conformity to step into the courage of authenticity. That cannot happen in noise. It cannot happen when every opinion is allowed a seat at your table. Isolation clears the table, removes the clutter, and invites only the voice of purpose to sit with you. There are revelations that only arrive when no one is around to interrupt them. There are answers that come only after the last door closes. And there is strength, a quiet, unshakable strength that is born when you've walked through your own wilderness and realized you are still standing. You do not become that strong in crowds. You become that strong in isolation. So while the world may ask, where have you gone? The chosen one knows they've gone deeper, they've gone inward, they've gone where the roots grow. Because before you are trusted with fruit, you must be trusted with root. Before you can lead, you must be led. Before you can pour out, you must sit still long enough to be filled. The chosen know that every moment of isolation carries meaning. Every silent hour is an echo of preparation. They are not waiting, they are being made. The instructions are being written in their spirit, one quiet revelation at a time. And when the time comes, when the door finally opens and the world calls their name, they will not return the same. They will return wiser, softer, stronger, because in the silence they met their true self. In the stillness they met the divine. And in the isolation, they found their instruction. When you carry light, you do not have to introduce yourself. You don't have to announce your presence or demand attention. The light goes before you, whispering your name into places your feet have not yet touched. It lingers in your voice, rests in your eyes, and moves with your steps. People feel it before they see it. And just as light draws those who seek warmth and truth, it also draws shadows, silent, lurking, curious, sometimes cruel. The chosen know this deeply. They learn early on that the gift of light is not just to shine, but to endure. For every person who is drawn to their brilliance with love in their heart, there is another who approaches with envy in their bones. The light stirs what lies hidden in others. It reveals, it exposes, it irritates what prefers to stay in darkness. And so the chosen find themselves both celebrated and resented, sometimes in the same breath. They do not chase conflict, but conflict seems to find them. Not because they've done wrong, but because they've done what many cannot. They've dared to be true. They've chosen purpose over comfort, authenticity over acceptance. And that kind of bravery unsettles the insecure. The light reflects what others are trying to avoid in themselves. So instead of facing their own shadows, they attack the one who carries the mirror. But the chosen must not dim, they must not shrink, they must not twist their light into a shape more palatable to the world. The flame is not arrogance, it is obedience. It is the fire of knowing who you are, even when others try to smother you with misunderstanding, judgment, or fear. The shadow may whisper lies, but the light does not argue, it simply shines. Still, it hurts. The chosen are not made of stone. They feel every dart thrown, every word twisted, every silence where there should have been support. They carry the wounds of unseen battles, battles not against flesh, but against the weight of being misread, misused, misunderstood. And yet they continue, because they know the shadow would not show up if the light wasn't doing its job. There is no shadow without light. The brighter the light, the bolder the shadow. It is not proof of failure, but of presence. You are where you're supposed to be. The resistance is confirmation, not condemnation. And so the chosen learn to walk with both, light in one hand, awareness of shadow in the other. They walk wisely, not fearfully. They love boldly, but protect their peace. They forgive, but keep their boundaries sharp and holy. Some will come to bask in the light and call it love. But love without respect is exploitation. Some will come to borrow the glow only to curse it when it no longer serves their shadow. But the chosen learn. They learn to see who comes with open hands and who comes with quiet hunger. They learn to discern between those who seek healing and those who seek control. And with that wisdom, they walk carefully, knowing not everyone who claps is a friend, and not everyone who criticizes is an enemy. The light is not for show, it is for service. It is not entertainment, it is essence. It is a divine assignment to illuminate, to awaken, to guide. And sometimes in doing so, the chosen will be rejected by the very people they came to help. But rejection is part of the refining. Pain is part of the proving. Every scar is a sign that they kept showing up, even when the shadows pressed close. They don't shine for applause. They shine because they cannot do otherwise. Their soul is set on fire by purpose, and that flame is not theirs to hide. They shine for the ones still trapped in shadow, the ones who've never seen what courage looks like, what truth sounds like, what love feels like when it costs something. And though the shadows will always come, the light does not flinch. It stands firm. It stays soft but steady. It warms even when it's weary, because that is what it was born to do. The chosen walk with this knowing, that every shadow drawn to them is just another sign they are doing the sacred work, that their light is not just a beacon, but a boundary, and that no matter how many shadows come near, the light, if guarded, if honored, if trusted, will always outlast the darkness. And so the chosen walk quietly, boldly, divinely, carrying weight unseen, learning in silence, sensing what others ignore, choosing purpose over applause, and embracing the sacred lessons that isolation and shadow both bring. Their journey is not easy, but it is holy. They are not made for the many, but for the meaningful, not shaped in crowds, but in corners, not called to please, but to pierce the dark with light that does not flicker. They are misunderstood, yes, but they are never misplaced. For every step they take, though lonely, is led by something greater. And when their time comes, when they rise fully into who they were born to be, they will not just shine, they will awaken, they will remind, they will restore. And the world, though it may not say it aloud, will know. This soul walked in truth. This soul carried fire. This soul was chosen, and they answered the call.